Have you ever felt it? That deep down voice inside of your chest that tells you that you were meant for more, that you were created for more. And I'm not talking about more money, more fame, more success. I'm talking about more meaning, more life, more you. But as soon as that fire starts to arise deep in your heart, you shut it down. You convince yourself that you're not the right person. You start playing it small. You compromise. You start telling yourself that right now is not the right time. Let me tell you something. I get it. For over 20 years, I have helped people all around the world, professionals, leaders, entrepreneurs, people with great potential. But time and time again, I have seen them trade their dreams for something far more dangerous than failure or being scared. I have watched them trade their dreams and get addicted to a very powerful and profitable drug out there. And let me tell you something, it's not street drugs, it's comfort. Because today's society has taught us that pain is something to get rid of altogether. That comfort is a new happiness. And that discomfort is something that we should just call obsolete. You don't believe me? Just think for a second. Every time you're bored, click, there's Netflix. Every time you feel lonely, swipe right, swipe left, there's Tinder. Every time you're hungry, click, 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 there's Uber Eats. But doesn't matter how evolved we think we are, inside of this brain, there is still a caveman mind that still likes to chase, it still likes to hunt, but not anymore for food, but for our dreams, our goals, for our purpose. So if you come with me today, I will show you how it's time to reclaim our inner strength. And it's not only for us. I will teach you how to train your children, the next generation who needs the strength to go and fight for their destinies and their future. It's time for them to understand that pain is not something to be avoided. Pain is the very seed from greatness can be harvested. So today we're going to learn the importance of how to go and fight for your dreams, but to build the inner muscle to get us there. So now let me take you back to 2015. That was like my golden era, I will say. I was in my 20s. I was pregnant with my second baby. I was the youngest female executive at my company, making over 6 figures. I had a wonderful husband with a thriving career, a beautiful, beautiful home. But you know what, something? One day, everything changed. My husband got laid off. I had to go on mat leave. And from making over 6 figures in income, multiple 6 figures, we were left with $1,800 in employment insurance a month. That was tough. And then our nanny sued us because we couldn't keep her contract. And in the same week, the wildfires happened. So we had to be evacuated out of the city with our babies. And maybe you have never faced a fire, but I'm pretty sure you have faced moments in your life that left you shaken. Maybe it was a divorce, a family member who got sick, maybe a business that didn't work out. That was the moment for me. I realized that for many years, I had been chasing comfort when I thought I was chasing security. I realized that I had been just playing it small. I had been just trading good for great. And in that very moment, I realized that comfort was not my protector, was my prison. But let me tell you something. Nature has a funny way to teach you very valuable lessons. In 1987, scientists started a project called Biosphere 2. It was a space designed to mimic Earth's natural environment. They took all these beautiful trees and all these plants, they put it in the perfect living conditions. The sunlight was perfect, the water was perfect, the soil was perfect, everything was amazing. And guess what? The trees started to grow beautiful and fast. But one day, something really strange happened. Those trees, one by one, started to collapse. The scientists were puzzled. What's going on? What's happening? That's when they stumbled into a concept that now they call stress wood. What that means is even though the environment was perfect, no stress, nothing was happening there, everything was perfect, There was no wind. And without wind, the trees could not bend back and forth. There was no pressure. There was no tension. So that avoided the trees to build a very thick layer around them called stress wood. Isn't it interesting that the very word this generation is so keen on getting rid of, that we buy into every program, every book, every product that promise to take away or at least alleviate your stress, is the very word that is necessary for trees to grow to incredible heights. That right there is the key, is the importance. Did you know that the World Health Organization actually defines the stress as the set of physiological reactions of the body that prepares us for action? So stress, is it really bad? Or is it really meant to prepare us for action? And that right there is the key. That's what I realized in that very moment when everything was taken away from us. In that very moment, I realized that, again, I have built a life in perfect conditions, but there was no wind. There was no pressure. And without any tension, there was no growth. So for me, I had to make a decision. I remember sitting in the floor with my husband and thinking we could slide back into our old lives like many people did. Many families at that moment with the wildfires, they were just waiting for the wildfires to finish, go back to their homes, go back to their old lives, right? And that was okay. They wanted to go back to what they knew, but not us. As immigrants, we have rebuilt our lives many times over. So we already were used to it. So that gave us a different perspective. We thought, how can we make this tragedy our biggest triumph? How can we build something big after this catastrophe? How can we turn a problem into an opportunity? Now, don't think that we are special. There's science backing this up. Did you know the high-performance athletes, people in the military, firstborn children, and immigrants have higher levels of resilience? It's not because we have a different DNA. It's just because we have faced adversity in the face. We have experienced pain over and over and over again. We have chosen the hard road, that we have built extra resilience. There is paths in our brains already, neural highways that anticipate pain, that are ready for combat, that allows us to just come back, bounce back much faster and stronger than anybody else. Now, going back to my story, that night, my husband and I made a plan. Not to wait for the perfect conditions to come back, but to create something in the middle of chaos, something new. That's when we created our company 10 years ago, and that's what allowed us to become the first millionaires in our family. Now, here's what I learned during my 2015 breakdown, which now I see as my biggest breakthrough. If you want to rise in the face of your hardest moments, you have to build the muscle before the crisis. And you will think, well, what muscle? The muscle of resilience. Like in the gym, your resilient muscle will only grow through repetition and consistent intentional effort. That's how I created something called my resilience training plan. And I just put it in my new book, Once Upon a Lie. And pretty much it only has 2 ingredients, right? It's based on involuntary challenges and voluntary challenges. Involuntary challenges are those that life throws at you, like a divorce, a business that didn't work, a layoff, a family member that got sick. Now, those ones, you don't get to choose them, but you get to prepare for them. How, you might ask? Through exposing yourselves to voluntary challenges every single day. You step into those on purpose. Those are the little actions, the little battles that you choose to put yourself into every single day. That might be making that call that you have been dreading to make, call that client that scares you to death, start that business that has been in your head for so long, maybe taking that, new training program that you have been dreading, anything that will stretch you, that will make you grow, something that every day will take you to a new level, that will get you out of your comfort zone. Now, we don't want to do that only for ourselves. We want to do it for our children. We want to teach them early on what it took us 40, 50, 60 years to learn. They deserve it. We need to equip them to go and fight life with the best tools that we can provide them with. Now, how do I train my children? I make them do very hard tasks. I choose the hottest day in the year for them to cut the lawn. Yes, I make them sign up and show up and compete in high performance sports because I want them to lose in the same way in the degree that I want them to win. Why? Because I want them to build a resilient muscle now. I want them to understand that pain is not to be avoided. It's a key ingredient for them to go and fight for their dreams and their life. You know what I always tell my children? Son, what do you prefer? A tough mom or a tough life? Because a tough mom will only last you 18 years. But a tough life will follow you for the rest of your existence. And guess what? They always choose the tough mom because they know it's for them. Not because I want them to prove something, because I want them to become somebody. Because once they start to win, and those little daily battles, they start stacking the wins. Those voluntary challenges become their new identity. They think in their minds, I have done hard things before. I can do this. Does that make sense? Now, I want you to understand something. It's very important that you get addicted, not to comfort, but to the adrenaline of a new challenge. I want you to see every single rep as a new training session, every trial as a new training program, because we understand that at a biological level. We understand when we go to the gym or we start a training program, the muscle needs 3 key ingredients to grow. Number 1, tension. Number 2, stress. And number 3, damage. It's only in those last rests, when you feel that you can't go anymore, when you want to quit, that the muscle breaks, and that's when growth starts. So why do we get so passionate about avoiding tension, getting rid of stress, and trying to protect all our new generation and our children from being damaged? When we understand that is the key ingredients for them to become the best version of them. Now, we don't have to wait for life to break us to start building a strength. We can start now. So what does that mean for you? It means that we have to choose a hard path. That means that we have to choose our own discomfort on purpose. Because when you seek out a challenge before it seeks you, you will stop reacting and you will start rising. Why? Because voluntary challenges will produce confidence, resilience, perseverance, discipline, tenacity, and mental strength. But if we wait for life to train us or to train our children, it will throw at us a lot of involuntary challenges to face. And they will produce hopelessness, frustration, discouragement, because they take us off guard. There is no mental files to go on. So let me leave you with a story. There was a restaurant in New York, a very famous restaurant. They wanted to serve the freshest caught fish in the world. They tried everything. They tried flying the fish all the way from its natural habitat all the way to the table and temperature control tanks. They tried taking a helicopter, but something was just not quite right. When the fish reached the table, it was mushy. The texture was just not right. So somebody had an idea. They say, what about we put a catfish in the tank? Catfish are the natural predators of caught fish. So when they did that, the little catfish was going around chasing the cod. That guy was as fresh as ever, and it was just perfect. I think we are the same. We were not designed to live in the still waters. Comfort might feel safe, but it softens you. It's the catfish, the challenge, the friction, the pressure that keeps us sharp, awake, alive. So before you leave this room, I want to leave you with a question. What is your catfish? What is that challenge, big or small, that scares you, that stretches you, that makes you be alive again? I'm going to tell you something. Choose it. Chase it. Because the moment you do, you will realize that the very thing you have been running away from, the very thing that you have been avoiding, is the very thing you have been waiting for. And when you rise, even though you feel scared, stretched, but unshaken, you will know this. Comfort never made history. Only courage did. Thank you.